Got room for one more?
Hey there, cowpokes, cowgirls. Welcome back to the Westerns for Life podcast. On this episode, which is episode 19, we'll be discussing the 2015 Quentin Tarantino Western, The Hateful Eight, with an all-star cast. So let's just get into the plot of this film. It's not a complicated one, but here we go anyway.
The plot.
So the plot of the movie goes as follows. It's pretty much there's a stagecoach headed for Red Rock during a huge blizzard that is looming. They pick up a bounty hunter played by Samuel L. Jackson, Major Marcus Warren. The passenger on board the stagecoach is Kurt Russell as John Roof the Hangman, along with his bounty hunting or his bounty passenger Daisy Domergue, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. As they head to Red Rock to escape the blizzard that is looming, they pick up as well the upcoming sheriff of Red Rock, Chris Mannix, played by, I knew I would forget his name, Walton Goggins, there you go, Walton Goggins. So they hightail it to Red Rock, but they are forced to stop at Minnie's Haberdashery. And there are some other, crazy characters, let's say, as Tarantino loves to write them, and that's where the majority of the film is set, in the haberdashery. So that's pretty much the plot of the film. Let's go on to the characters, which will be the Hateful Eight themselves.
The characters.
Starting with, for me, the main actor. I really feel he was robbed of an Oscar nomination or even an Oscar win, which is Samuel L. Jackson as Major Marcus Warren. I absolutely love his character. I love his portrayal. This might be possibly my favorite Samuel L. Jackson performance. But how do you guys rate him in this film, Dan?
Firstly, I'm glad you said he's the main character, robbed of an Oscar. This was my fourth time watching this film. I just think he's outstanding. Some of his dialogue towards the end of the film had me literally cracking up like a full-on comedy would. He's absolutely amazing. Doesn't quite steal the show, but excellent. Best performance from Samuel Jackson for me. How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, you could say since Pulp Fiction, he's become one of the most demanding actors in all the roles that he's been in. I love his work with the Tarantino movies. I love his character in this one, Major Warren. I agree with what Dan says. He had me in stitches towards the end of the movie. I'd say in the middle part, he was a little bit kind of quiet, but towards the end, he was outstanding. And probably deserves the Oscar, the Academy Award for this performance. I slightly prefer his role in Django Unchained because he was a nasty bastard in that one. But the Kill Bill characters. Is it Kill Bill characters?
He does pop up in Kill Bill. Yeah.
Kill Bill and Jackie Brown. The Jackie Brown and Django Unchained. They're probably my favourite performances from his career. But when you look at some of the actors who have really excelled superbly in their career, it's definitely Samuel L. Jackson, and he's outstanding in this one. And rightly so, what Dan says, he's the main lead, slightly.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. I've always said maybe Jackie Brown is like my all-time favorite of his, but this one comes really close, and then Django comes really close, and of course Pulp Fiction. He's got the great 25-17 speech in Pulp Fiction. That definitely is an iconic moment for him in cinema history. But yeah, he's amazing in this one. Like I said, definitely robbed of an Oscar. He wasn't even nominated, so it's baffling. Anyway, let's go on to kind of the second lead, I guess, or the central character, which is John Roof, the Hangman. And if the Hangman catches you, you hang. Played by the amazing Kurt Russell. We've covered him on the podcast before, and a similar look as well, because that film was from the same year. Kurt Russell as John Roof, the Hangman. Dan, what do you think of his performance?
Yes, I don't really want to recite what I've said about Kurt Russell before. He's a legend, so I'll keep it as that. Testament to him for growing his own tash in this one. I remember him on the talk show saying how long it took to grow. what I like about this, because I grew up with Kurt Russell being the good guy, the likable guy. So from going from Death Proof, playing that sadistic bastard in that, to this one where he's no nonsense, gives Jennifer Jason Leigh a couple of slaps. Yeah, it's great to see him in this role, and it's also great when you look back. He had a real dip, and people say, "Oh, he had a dip, fell off." But I always say he done that film Dark Blue, which was a good movie, but he kind of plateaued. Death Proof brought him back. This one shows how great he is as a Hangman John Ruth. Love it. About you, Carlos?
This is a difficult statement for me to say because there's so many great players in this movie. I loved Kurt Russell in this movie. I really did. As well as many of the actors and actresses in this movie, they were all fantastic. I can't fault that. But Kurt Russell is my favourite as the Hangman John Ruth. Again, the look. I love the look of that tash. Obviously, like Jeff said, he grew it for two westerns. I love the comedy, kind of comedic moments with Daisy. What's her name? Domergue.
Yeah.
The bounty, especially in some of the scenes on the stagecoach when he's elbowing her in the face and he's kind of mistreating her. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of a little bit gutted towards the end with his character, but not revealing too many spoilers. But he's definitely my favourite character in this movie. Fantastic look, and you know he's done Tombstone and Bone Tomahawk as well in other westerns, and I'd love to see him in another western. I really, really would, because he really does suit the part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kurt Russell is fantastic. He has some fantastic lines. Everybody in this film, but especially him, you can just tell how much fun the actors had on this film working with this material from Tarantino, because they just embellish in their roles, and especially Kurt Russell. Like, one of my favorite lines is when he says to the Walton Goggins character, you know, the fact that you want to critique anybody else's war past makes me want to horse laugh, and he sort of twirls his mustache as he says that. Yeah, absolutely love it. Top performance. Speaking of Domergue, we mentioned, let's go to Women of the West for her, because, well, she definitely is a big woman in this movie. And for the abuse she gets, she definitely gives as good as she gets, I will say that. But let's make it official. Let's go for Women of the West.
Women of the West.
So yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh as oh shit, that's the wrong picture. Daisy Domergue. So what do you guys think of her in this film, Dan?
I'll be honest with you. So I always know Tarantino writes parts for actors, but when this name was announced, I was a bit, oh really? I mean, she's not done enough for me in years. But then I look back at actors he's brought back, and I always go back to single white female, where she was off the rails in that, and like. Even from her younger days, I think Fast Times at Ridgemont High, she's a versatile actress, but in this one, she's incredible. I mean, the dark eyes, I'm sure she's got contacts in this one, just makes her look evil. And there's a couple of scenes where you just know that she's a nasty piece of work, spitting on Samuel Jackson's Sacred Possession, which is it's just hilarious. But what really kind of hit home for me how highly regarded she is, because I've got to admit, I never really held her in that high regard. I just thought she was a good actress, but was when you watch the extras on this and other actors say it was just amazing watching her work. And I think for me, that really hit home how good she is. And I really appreciate the work she put in, especially on repeat viewings for sure. Excellent villainous character. For you, Carlos?
Fantastic performance. I think early on in her career, I always remember her in The Hitcher. Last Exit in Brooklyn. She displayed her talent in that one, which is kind of one of the movies that's forgotten from her career. Single white female. And at that time, I thought she was going to develop into like a real big female name in Hollywood, and she kind of just went a bit quiet. So when her name got announced, I thought, okay, you know, that's the name I've not heard in the past. But wow, I mean, in the second half of the movie, I mean, the last sort of quarter of the movie, she really shines. And, you know, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And I think she should have got it. I think she was outstanding. Really, probably probably the performance from her best performance from her career, without a doubt. I wasn't sure as a kind of character unravelled such a kind of evil character when they said, you know, the reason why she got captured and, you know, for the murders that she did. And I was thinking, okay. But towards the end of the movie, you believe in the character a lot more so. And she was quite vile as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely gives as good as she gets. Like, obviously, you could maybe say it's a bit misogynistic. Like, she gets a lot of slaps and punches and stuff. But trust me, she gives as good as she gets for sure. She will get her payback, let's say, rather. No, she definitely gets payback for everything that she goes through. Yeah, no, she's a fantastic character, fantastically performed by Jennifer Jason Leigh. So let's go to the rebel. Erskine Mannix's boy Chris Mannix, the sheriff of Red Rock, allegedly, who's played by Walton Goggins. What do you guys think of this guy? He was also in Django Unchained, by the way, the previous Tarantino Western. So, Dan, thoughts on this character and performance?
For me, the show stealer in this one, or the most surprising role, because you're seeing him in Django, smaller part, but very good. But in this one, some of the lines he's got in dialogue, and he's that character that you're watching, and you always think, is he really the sheriff, the new sheriff, or is he just talking bollocks? To be honest, a fascinating character, along with another one which we get to, but just generally the show stealer for me in this, just for what I was expecting. That kind of, well, they refer to him as a hillbilly, didn't they, once, because he's got that real deep southern accent. Yeah, he's someone I could watch. I could watch a standalone western with him as a sheriff of Red Rock. I thought he was that good. How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, Walter Goggins. I think he came out of this. It's really boosted his career. I watched him early on when he was in the TV series The Shield. He played one of the bent cops in that, Shane. So, you know, to see him kind of escalate to the big screen, obviously, you know, he got an Emmy Award for Justified, which is a series I still need to watch. And he's been in other movies like Predators. And, you know, he's kind of got his foot in Hollywood in major movies, but even more so with this. And you kind of expect a little bit more to come from him. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how he was going to fit in the movie, and the accent surprised me a hell of a lot because of what I'd seen him in previously. You know, obviously his character in The Shield were kind of tough guys, and he didn't have to sort of have an accent. But some of the best comedic moments from the movie involves his character as the Sheriff Maddox. So Walter Goggins, I'm hoping there's more from him, you know, in his career in big movies, because he's a very good actor. Just hope he gets the parts to kind of build on from this great performance. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. He's got some great comedic bits in this one as well, and with his accent and the way he just delivers the lines, like when he's first all about the Lincoln letter, like the President of the United States sent you a letter and stuff like that. I just find it hilarious. Definitely another highlight in this film for sure. So let's go on to some of the other characters of the titular eight. Let's go to as we're dealing with someone from the South, let's go to Bruce Dern's character as General Sandy Smithers, if I got that right. Yeah, Bruce Dern right there, sitting in a chair. Doesn't get a whole lot to do, but when he does get something, I mean, it's a joy to watch Bruce Dern. I always loved him. So what do you guys think of Bruce Dern, Dan?
Well, first of all, he's a great actor, and I loved listening to Samuel Jackson's interview saying that it was an honour and almost sort of surreal that he got to act that scene alongside him, which I got to add the particular scene what they're talking about. It's a nasty scene. I get it, but I don't like listening to it. And you can see he's geeing him up. He's geeing him up, and it gets a bit graphic. But Bruce Dern, despite sitting in a chair for most of the film, it's just excellent. And again, is someone else Tarantino's used a lot, but he's got a fantastic filmography, an incredible actor. Can't really say much more than a legend like him. How about for you, Carlos?
Yeah, Bruce Dern. Yeah, I mean, he's a fine actor. I always label him as the man who killed John Wayne in a certain movie. I just that tag will always remain with me, because when I see that movie, The Cowboys, I still don't believe it. But he's always played annoying characters, and it's nice to see him play quite a serious and senior character. But he can do comedy. He's quite versatile, as we saw in Joe Dante's The Burbs. I loved him in that as well. And yeah, I mean, he kind of eased in. He kind of eased into the movie with it comfortably, without really doing anything physically. Obviously, he's an Asian actor, so he really did fit in the movie well. I mean, yeah, the controversial scene with Samuel L. Jackson is kind of one of the highlight bits. But he's such a seasoned and professional actor. Scenes like that in scripts are not going to bother him. And Bruce Dern, I mean, what Dan says, a legendary actor. That's something that's deserved throughout his career. And and having him, a big name in the movie, can only add to it and makes it more bigger movie.
Yeah, definitely the standout scene is the one with him and Samuel L. Jackson. I love how that scene begins to sort of more like a quiet, more intimate moment, like between talking about Bruce Dern's wife who's passed away and all that stuff. And I do like how it starts and it sort of escalates from there. Great performance and a great actor. Like, definitely a legend. He's worked with people like Hitchcock, Kazan. He's the man indeed that shot and killed John Wayne in a certain film. He's a legend. Of course, Tarantino used him before as well in Django Unchained, where he had a brief role. And of course, he would also replace the late great Burt Reynolds in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When that role was originally supposed to be Burt before he passed, and then it was Bruce Dern that took that role over as the blind George Spahn, wasn't it? Yeah, the owner of Spahn Ranch and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Great actor. The next character, however, as one of the eight, this for me is a scene stealer as well. It's Damien Bichir. Picture, there you go, Bob the Mexican. I just love the look of this guy, and I love the accent. I know it's a bit thick, it's a bit more pronounced. I'd say maybe it's a Pacino case where it's the Cuban accent and scarf is a little over the top, a little overdone, but I love it. This character, mi negro amigo, and the way he goes on, I love him. What do you think, Dan, of Damien Bichir as Bob?
Yeah, this was the other character I alluded to when I said he's just really cracked me up. The subtleties he does when he's sort of just enjoying his cigarette and drink at the bar and just giving a little smile to himself. He's got that almost De Niro squint. You hardly can see his eyes. I think just watching him, I'm just intrigued watching him. It's the approach to it. I don't know what really else to say, but he's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's got that Cheech and Chong going on as well with the accent, and he's there, but without being massively integral, I say. But he adds. I can't quite put my finger on it. He's a fascinating character. That you, Carlos?
He's probably the character out of the eight that I wasn't sure of. I hadn't heard of him. And I question actually whether he was actually Spanish or Mexican, and he actually is Mexican. That caught me by surprise because, like Jeff says, I thought, is this an American actor just overdoing the Mexican accent? And he is a Mexican actor. I think he got nominated for Academy Award that I read 2010 movie, A Better Life or something. Not a movie that I'm sort of know much about, but with all the accolades of these actors and actresses, you know, there's obvious quality in this movie with this star-stacked cast, and yeah, another kind of more comedic character. You know, I think he's more comedic for his look rather than what he says and does, in my opinion, because he's just there. He's got this great big thick beard, and half of the time, as he's talking in his Mexican accent, I can't quite work him out. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you got to have different sort of looks in a movie, and obviously, you've got a Mexican added to the movie, and they're all these characters are all different in a way. You got a Afro Caribbean American in there. You got an Englishman, so you've got different characters. This what really adds to the movie, different sort of backgrounds to these characters. Yeah, he played his part.
Yeah. For me, he's kind of a scene stealer for sure. I mean, I love, like I said, his accent in this one. I think I've heard him speak in interviews. He doesn't have that thick of a Mexican accent in real life, so it's definitely a little overdone, I think.
Okay.
But I just love how the Mexican just comes out at a certain point when he's holding the "Orale, cabrón" and stuff like that. I just love the way he does.
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit overplayed when he.
Yeah. You're calling me a liar, mi negro amigo, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's no, I love him. Definitely a scene stealer. Let's go to another one of my favorites, another Tarantino regular, Michael Madsen as Joe Gage. The cowpoke, there he is right there, Michael Madsen. I absolutely love Michael Madsen. He's a very underrated actor for me. I loved him in everything I've seen him in. And I do love him as well in this film. What do you think of Michael Madsen, Dan?
Yeah, I do like Michael Madsen. I don't know if you two agree on this, but he's one of them that is just always Michael Madsen. He's a very cool, subtle, but effective actor. He's got that coolness to him. I think Tarantino once said he reminded him a bit of James Dean, and I can see that for sure. And he's a background character in this. I do have to say there's one particular little bit that annoys me in this. This when Kurt Russell's character's first coming into the haberdashery, and you've got him and another character shouting, "You got to nail it shut," and it just drives me mad. That every time it drives me mad.
Damn thing's busted.
Yeah. But yeah, Michael Madsen's just looking the part in this, and it's a subtle one. But if you've watched Michael Madsen, you're going to know what to expect. It's just quality. That's what I think.
I've always been a fan of Michael Madsen. I just really wished his career would have kind of been more of a first lead. I always remember him appearing in an early episode of Miami Vice as a villain.
Oh yeah, I've seen an episode.
And he's always had that kind of rock star sort of he's always had thick gelled sort of long hair, like James Dean sort of thing. He was my favourite in Reservoir Dogs.
Mr. Blonde, yes. Yeah.
Also my favourite in Donnie Brasco. I loved him in that movie. And
he's great there, yeah.
Kind of more of a smaller part in this, but his character is in the background a little bit, and you don't really know a lot about him till a lot more towards the end of the movie. But yeah, I mean, Michael Madsen, real cool actor. Yeah, it's always good seeing him popping up in movies. Like I say, I just wish his career kind of would have got a little bit bigger for him as a kind of like a main male lead, because he's got talent. He's always had the talent. Whether he just took the right sort of film roles, that's part of sort of Hollywood, I suppose. But yeah, he definitely adds to this movie. I love his character.
Yeah, he's definitely another one of my favorites for sure. Like I said, I've always loved Michael Madsen and everything I've seen him in, whether it's even Thelma and Louise or hell, even Free Willy. I thought he was great in that as well. Then of course the Tarantino collaborations with Kill Bill might be my favorite because I love his character and I love the scene with him and Carradine in that one. That woman deserves her revenge, and we deserve to die. That scene, I love that bit. And Kill Bill. Obviously, he's got his start with Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs, as Carlos mentioned. Which brings me on to the next actor who also got his start with Tarantino with that film, which is Tim Roth as Oswaldo Mowbray. I absolutely love this guy, and I love I know, of course, he is British, and I know he overdoes the British accent that he has for his character, but I absolutely loved it. I thought he was a highlight for sure. What do you guys think of Tim Roth, Dan?
Oh, I love Tim Roth. I've seen him in so many films,
I'm
and
just
as I
laughing
was
at the
saying,
impression.
before we come on, I was thinking, you're going to do that British accent, and when you done Richard Burton, it's surreal because it's like it's not coming out your mouth. It just gets me every time. Tim Roth. I think he's a brilliant actor and very versatile. I mean, the movie has me cracking up the most in is playing the bellboy in Four Rooms that I've actually just ordered. I found out it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And in this one, he's great, but he was one that from the first watch, maybe I'd had an inkling with what the suspicion is between these characters, just slightly. Don't know if either of you picked up on, the overplayed accent, but also a little bit of his regular accent coming through.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Oswaldo Mulberry is he's an hilarious character in this. I love it when someone overdoes an accent, especially a British person as well. Americans can't quite always get it right. They seem to do it too posh. We're not all posh. Yeah. How about yourself, Carlos?
Yeah, it is slightly overdone. The Americans do love a British accent in the movie. He tries to play it like he's a gentleman in the way he's dressed, and obviously the way he's talking. But
yeah, very dapper. Yeah,
he's pretty much, for me, as I'm going back to the first time I watched that, he looked the most suspicious, because why would this over sort of dressed and kind of Englishman, gentleman speaking guy would be in this cabin in the middle of nowhere? So that was one of my main kind of suspicions out of the 8 characters from the get-go. But you got to love Tim Roth. I mean, obviously the Tarantino movies he's appeared in. Obviously Tarantino loves using actors and actresses in his other movies, and Tim Roth certainly adds to the movie. Again, a fantastic comedic moment with Chris Maddox when they're going on about the Abraham Lincoln letter.
Yeah.
When they're saying, I'm not going to say that word, but a black man in the stable has got a letter from Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
They didn't say it once, but they said it about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
More times that they said it, like in sheer disbelief. You believed it. You believed that that's how characters from that time would react to, a black major, a war veteran, having a letter from Abraham Lincoln. It's just hilarious. I love that scene. Yeah, Tim Roth. Yeah, I mean, like many times when in Hollywood, when they would want a British accent, a good actor or great actor, they normally come for Gary Oldman or Tim Roth, and rightly so, because both of those guys are 2 fine actors.
Yeah, he's definitely again a scene stealer. So like whenever he has a big moment, and indeed, like I was going to point out that moment with Chris Mannix, the N-word in the stable has a letter from Abraham Lincoln. When I just love it when he just goes that over the top with it. I just absolutely enjoy it, as I'm sure he did while filming it. So yeah, we covered all the major 8, the titular 8 characters. So we do have some other ancillary characters who appear in the story. Just going to mention them briefly. The likes of Zoe Bell, Dana Golche, I think her name is, as Minnie, for Minnie's Haberdashery. We also have, as a surprise cameo, we're not going to say too much about this, well, we do have Channing Tatum pop up in this film as well. So what do you guys think of some of the ancillary characters? And yeah, Zoe Bell, I think I mentioned her, but what do you guys think of some of those people, Dan?
Yeah, they're just all brilliantly written and all that. Sometimes, especially here on the podcast, we spoke about certain other characters that don't have a lot to do, and even though the characters in this don't have a lot to do, they're still well written and welcome, and you remember them. I always remember Zoe Bell because I think she's
Yeah, I love her.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just Tarantino is one of them few directors who's got that knack of writing everyone in, even if it's the smallest part, even if it's the guy on the piano at Kill Bill, you remember it. So yeah, a testament to him as a great director. Just yeah, can't say any more about you, Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys you've got supporting, sort of minor supporting roles, they all add to the movie. Each character has a worth in a Tarantino movie, no matter how long they are on. That's that. You know, you got to give credit where credit is due. Where Tarantino, he does bring these actors, no matter how great they are, or you know, mediocre they are, or sort of not as great. There's always a kind of an essential part and the reason why they've gotten for the movie. And those, you know, Channing Tatum, Zoe Bell, they just add to the movie. They really, really do.
Yeah. Of course, I would be remiss if we didn't mention OB, played by Michael Parks. I know what's James Parks? Michael Parks, James Parks? I think James Parks, who was Michael Parks' son. No, James Park, who plays OB. I think Tarantino once jokingly referred to the film as the Hateful Eight and OB. So yeah, OB is definitely, I love OB, and yeah, he's one of my favorite moments as well when he comes out of the blizzard into the haberdashery. I ain't never going out in that shit ever again.
I love the way he kind of. It's not like an overreaction that he's cold, but he just grabs that great big buffalo blanket,
lays down by the
rolls
fireplace.
Himself on the floor, and he doesn't move for the next hour or so. But yeah. I mean,
and then Bob the Mexican comes over. You want some stew, Obi? Yeah, I love it.
And did you notice that his price for helping out Major Warren was increasing? It started out as $150. It was up to $250, and then it was going up to $350. So yeah, he definitely added to the movie.
Yeah, definitely great characters. But as we were talking about Tarantino, let's go to our next segment, which is Behind the Camera, where we will discuss Quentin Tarantino.
Behind the Camera.
Which I should mention will be brief because we have already done a big live stream on Tarantino on our Talking Movies live stream series. Goes without saying, I absolutely love Tarantino. But Dan, tell us how you feel about Mr. Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, well, on that live stream, as I say, he's my favourite director, and I'm not really someone who's star-struck or I've got kind of a bucket list of someone I'd want to meet, but he would be that one celebrity or director I would love to just sit down and have a conversation with, just film an inspirational story, which everyone knows about, you know, how he's learnt his craft. He's just a film fanatic, and genuinely, I think he's the best director working and one of the greatest of all time. I don't think there's anyone else out there who can do what he does, whether people say he's borrowed it from this or that, it's influence and playing homage. I do have big concerns because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's getting a prequel or sequel. I just don't see how anyone can do that the way Tarantino does it. I just think he's a movie fan's dream to become someone like that, isn't it, really? When you watch so many movies and certain little things he puts in a film and you think that's where that's from, and it's just amazing. He ticks every box for me, every single one. And I don't think he's done a film, a bit of a spoiler here, but he's not done a film which I'd give below an 8 out of 10 at all. I think every film's been a home run, even Death Proof. What do you think, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the, I'd say, kind of one of the last great directors out there. Again, I don't have him quite there. I'd love to see him sort of end his career, probably with another Western. I really, really would. Yeah, all his movies. I enjoy all his movies, even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which, You know, I've only seen that once. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but nevertheless, they're all well made, and they're just ridiculously entertaining and rewatchable movies. I'm going to kind of more talk about his Western thing, because obviously this is another great, well-made Western, and rewatching it for only the second time. I still have Django Unchained just slightly a little bit better, but damn it, you know, rewatching this again, I've loved to, you know, it's really, really close now. I think the characters for me are better in this movie. The cast is better in this movie than Django Unchained, even though I prefer the storyline to that a little bit more. But Tarantino has done it again. He knows how to make a Western. He's paying homage to Western movies. You can see it. Obviously, for me, he said the reason why he wanted to make this movie because he got sort of influenced these TV series in the 60s, like Bonanza, High Chaparral. But I still think The Great Silence, a lot of that is in this movie. So he's paying a homage to a lot of the spaghetti westerns. Even one of the scenes where they're all eating at the table, where they're kind of talking with their mouths open, they're slurping their food. That always happens in spaghetti westerns and not so much in American westerns. So he's paying homage to that. Beautifully shot. And Tarantino, I mean, his work is pretty breathtaking in this western. I got sort of no complaints about his work on this movie. Outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also shouldn't forget, you know, he's one of the only directors at this point who still shoots on film. So it's all, you know, with a 35, well, in this case, 75 millimeter, because he shot that in like ultra Panavision widescreen, this particular film. But I mean, we're not outside a whole lot, but once we are outside, we see a little bit of the vistas and the snowbound and the snow-covered grounds and stuff. It looks spectacular. But you know, even the interior shots and the haberdashery, you know, and the close-ups, you know, the film just looks crisp. The film looks fantastic. You know, direction, you know, stage direction, everything's just fantastic in this one. That beautiful shot in the beginning when we sort of have the horses in slow motion set to a Ennio Morricone track, which we will discuss in a second. You know, when it goes in slow motion, it's one of the most beautiful horse shots I've ever seen in the westerns. It's just a shot of the horses going through the snow, which is it's absolutely fantastic. I love Tarantino. Similar to Dan, there's, you know, rarely a film of his I will go below an 8 stars out of 10. So they're all at least above an 8. So I mean, Tarantino, fantastic. He's probably my second favorite director after Sergio Leone, for me personally. But I mean, I don't think Tarantino would consider that an insult because he loves Sergio Leone as well. So. But no, let's go on to the music, because we know Tarantino usually he loves to use music from other films and other media. But in this one, there's a bit of that, but there's also a big original score by the maestro himself, Ennio Morricone. So let's go to the music.
The music.
So yeah, the first time we have a original score by Ennio Morricone in this one for a Tarantino film. So what do you guys think of the music, Dan?
Yeah, it's a score I would definitely like to own. It's something I've really paid more attention to this time. I think every score in Tarantino's films is incredible, and this is the right word to use. It's really incredible. It's grand. It's one of them that fits. He's got that, even when he's reusing a track, it just fits perfectly. It's exciting. It's just got everything. It's what I love in a Western is when you've got a soundtrack that is just as good as the film. Can't praise it enough. About for you, Carlos.
Yeah, I prefer the soundtrack in this movie to Django Unchained. The Morricone scores, they used two from the movie The Thing, an unused track. I mean, some horror fans might find that a bit of an insult. Not for me on this occasion. They also used a score from Exorcist 2, Regan's theme.
Yeah, that's the theme I was referring to. The scene with the horses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the soundtrack really went well. I mean, they even used a Roy Orbison track, which,
Yeah.
you know, when I looked at the track list and I thought, oh, okay. I didn't mind that. Obviously, I had issues with Django Unchained with Tupac and James Brown.
Yeah, the rap music. Yeah.
Kind of more of a modern day music being in the Western. That's not so the case in this one. Even though, you know, a couple of the scores were taken from horror movies, I did not mind. I thought it went well. I really, really did. And I think the soundtrack, I'll go along with what Dan said. It's probably one that I wouldn't mind purchasing, because even though this is only my second time watching this movie, I definitely see myself rewatching this movie a lot more, to really compare it to Django Unchained, because, like I say, it's close out of the two. Which one I slightly prefer Django Unchained, but this one's a lot more. It's a lot more of a clever movie, where Django Unchained, it's what you see is what you get. You know, this one's obviously a mystery and a who's who done it.
Yeah, no, for me, it's also a great soundtrack. I actually have all of Tarantino's soundtracks so far on CD. Of course, I do have the Hateful Eight soundtrack as well on CD, which is 28 tracks, so it's packed. And there's also, like Tarantino does on CD releases, there's bits of dialogue from the film on there as well.
Okay.
And yeah, some of the songs on there. There's also Apple Blossom from the White Stripes on the soundtrack, which is on CD as well. As Carlos just mentioned, there's a few modern songs on there, but not like overly distracting, like Django Unchained, which had Tupac and stuff like that. Yeah, Roy Orbison, There Won't Be Many Coming Home, and this one as well. This is a great selection of tracks. It's a great soundtrack overall. I love the original stuff by Morricone. I love the main theme. I don't mind the reuse of you know, the themes from The Thing, which is another Morricone score as well. It's only a few amount of times in the film when that happens. It doesn't really bother me or distract me too much. So yeah, and overall, I think it's a winner. The soundtrack. Morricone won the Oscar finally for this one, so yeah, it's top-notch stuff. Way overdue, you know, but yeah, it goes without saying, Morricone, you know, we've all raved about him, you know, on plenty of episodes already. He's our favorite composers, as you guys know. So it's time to go to favorite scenes for this film. So here we go.
Favorite scenes.
I have many, but I will let you guys take the floor first. Dan?
Yeah, same. I have loads. How can you not in a Tarantino film? It's just full of them from start to finish. But I'm gonna go. It's not just a scene. It's a big chunk towards the end of the movie, and it's Walton Goggins and Samuel Jackson. When Samuel Jackson's on the bed, Walton Goggins is on the chair next to him. It's just their whole dialogue and camaraderie together, and some of the lines just had me rolling up. When Samuel Jackson say, "Come on out, you bushwhacking sack shooter," it's just, I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, it's a testament to the writing of this film, how you can make a film so entertaining in one place. Not many can do that, but then even so, when the entertainment goes up even further, when you've got a guy who's pretty much bedridden and a guy who can hardly walk, it's just that whole however long it lasts, 20 minutes, it's just incredible. And it's I appreciated it all the more this time around. I want to just go with that very long scene. How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, that is my favourite scene. It's, I'm not going to try and give spoilers away. Obviously, there's a tussle towards the end of the movie, and Samuel L. Jackson, the way he's talking to Walter Goggins when he's, "Are you still alive? Get up, white boy!" That just kills me. And he says it a few times. I'm like, okay, there is quite a lot of racial slurs in this movie, but the way Samuel Jackson is talking to Sheriff Maddox, I was crying. That's my favourite scene. I don't want to go too much because Dan's already mentioned it. It's just the way that Samuel Jackson was shouting Walter Goggins' character of the sheriff had me. I was in tears with laughter. I really was. But I gotta go with the Abraham Lincoln moments again, and rather than talk about the Tim Roth moment with Walter Goggins about there's a black man in the stable with a letter, a letter sent from Abraham Lincoln. That was kind of like a pause, but it's the kind of the reveal when they're at the table when it hits hard that John Ruth has now realised that the Abraham Lincoln letter was a load of bullshit.
Yes.
And they all laughed, and his face, the way it just dropped, and all the other characters at the table started laughing. That had me in stitches. Yeah, I mean, the writing, the way they thought of this, getting this Abraham Lincoln letter as involved in the storyline was superbly written. And obviously, Major Warren, he actually says that the reason why he kind of made up about that letter because it
got me on that stagecoach, didn't it?
It got him on the stagecoach, and it kind of gave him a bit more respect as a war veteran and a major. But yeah, that'd be one of my favourite scenes from the Hateful Eight. Yeah. You, Jeff?
Yeah, I just want to go on that. I do love that scene as well, and especially how Samuel Jackson explains it, why it was a load of nonsense. All the Lincoln letter. Because the letter had a disarming effect. Because black folks is only safe when white folks is disarmed. Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely love that bit, and I do love when everybody starts laughing. He just takes the bowl of stew and throws the stew in Daisy Domergue's face. I love that bit. Also, I laugh a lot at those sort of moments. I also when we have the poisoned coffee scene and there's a lot of throwing up happening. I'm on the floor laughing. When characters get all that stuff spat in their face. It's I find it ridiculous. Which is that's why it's so funny. I love the Black Dingus scene with Samuel Jackson. I just absolutely love it. I love the aftermath after when Tarantino himself has a cameo as a narrator, and he's telling, as Major Warren was captivating the floor with tales of black dicks and black white mouths and stuff like that. It's but no, I think my all-time favorite scene would probably be, as Samuel Jackson is doing some detective work and he's sort of deducting who poisoned the coffee and stuff like that. And especially when he's confronting Bob the Mexican, and he's saying about the sign that said no dogs or no Mexicans allowed, and why she took that sign down? No, she started letting in dogs. And and especially I just love that whole bit. And then I do find it weird how they go in slow motion for no reason when Michael Madsen saying, "Ain't got no gun, sheriff." It's like, why is that in slow motion? But I know I do find it funny. I do laugh at it. So it's maybe it was intended for a comedic effect. I don't know. But I just love that whole bit where Sam Jackson's playing detective and he's deducting, who's in on it and who poisoned the coffee, etc., etc. But there's loads. There's this whole movie is just one big highlight for me of many fantastic scenes. So let's go to our review roundup and our final thoughts and trivia and all that stuff, and our final cowboy hat rating in the review roundup.
The review roundup.
And we're gonna go with me last. So Dan, your final thoughts and overall thoughts and rating on this film.
So this is one that's gone up in my rating. It was kind of towards the bottom stack of Tarantino films, which isn't a bad thing. As I say, I didn't give any of them below an 8 anyway. But I think whenever I watch them for kind of a discussion purpose, you just pay that real close attention and think and dissect it. And I think this movie is so cleverly written, as I said, when you're pretty much based for 3 hours in one location, and every character is just so well written. You got the little nods to other films. It's a great kind of rising suspicion. You know, it's got a lot in it. For someone watching it, I can see if you're new to westerns, you might find it difficult.
Mm.
But if you just want a film that plays out like a mystery, it's a mystery, isn't it? It's incredible. Can't really quite sum it up for people because it's different to what we spoke about before. It's not your generic western. It's like if you've seen like Day of the Outlaw, you're going to enjoy this. But if you're not a fan of something like 12 Angry Men, Glengarry Glen Ross, then you're kind of not. But then people say to me, "Oh, I don't like westerns, but I love Django Unchained." So I guess you got to give this one a go as well. I say it's gone up for me. This was an 8. I'm giving it a 10 now. And I've been on these podcasts, and I've kind of said there's only ever 2 westerns I'm ever going to give a 10. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Once Upon a Time in the West. Even Django Unchained's a 9. But this, I prefer it now. It's got so much going for it. So it's a 10 out of 10. If you want a mystery western with just such interesting characters, definitely one to check out. You, Carlos?
Nicely put. Yeah, it's definitely a different western. You could probably do this on stage, really, because it's just set in the cabin. It's a great western. It's a great modern day western for sure. This movie has gone up for me. First time I'd watched it, I gave it 7.5. It's gone up quite a bit. Probably could even go again if I watch it for the 3rd time. Tarantino's work on a western, outstanding. He does credit to the genre with 2 very good, great westerns, great modern day westerns, beautifully shot. He uses the cast magnificently. Whether they're small parts or big parts, they all have major parts to the movie. If you're a Tarantino fan and you're a Western fan, you will absolutely love this movie. The only bad points would be for a neutral watching this movie. If they don't like Westerns, they might not be on board with this because it is quite lengthy. But for me, if a movie's good, I don't care if it's 4 hours or 4.5. You just get engrossed in watching a movie. This one, a mystery, a whodunit, a who's who. It's kind of like a board game of Clue, really,
Yeah.
because you've got all these characters on the board and you're trying to suss out who's who. So that definitely is something a little bit unique in westerns rather than your normal run-of-the-mill revenge or action-packed western. But something different to watch. If you can stand, for neutrals, if you can stand the sort of 3-hour mark with the extended cut, or you've got the theatrical cut, which is 25 minutes, 30 minutes less, I still say give it a watch because the cast and Tarantino, the way he directs a movie, makes it all worth it. Cowboy Hat rating, I got to give it 8.5. I still slightly prefer Django Unchained, slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, as for me, I'm pretty much along the same lines as Dan. When I watched it just before this recording, I was like, yeah, this is gonna get a 10 for me. After I watch it, I was like, this is gonna get a 10 for me. After hearing Dan say it's gonna get a 10 for him, it's definitely gonna be a 10 Cowboy Hat for me as well. I just absolutely love everything about this film, every single frame, every performance, every actor, just so many great scenes, so many great, dark humor bits and some broader comedy bits as well. I just love how Tarantino does, writes this whole thing set in one location. Pretty much, it's the Western version of Reservoir Dogs, isn't it? Because Reservoir Dogs was a bunch of guys in one location, and this is a bunch of guys in one location, and a gal, of course. But I just absolutely love everything about the music, the direction, the acting. it just everything falls into place, and it's one of the few Tarantino films that do get full top marks. Along the lines with Pulp Fiction, along with Django Unchained. I will also give that 10 stars if we ever get to it. Along with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, along with Bastards, Glorious Bastards. Those are the few films of his I would give full marks. So absolutely love it. Just don't have anything to add except for like a few trivia bits. I do also love that scene where we didn't mention it, but the scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh, Daisy Dharma, who plays the guitar and sings the song, Jim Jones, Botany Bay, and you got the bit where Kurt Russell smashes the guitar. Now that was an actual antique guitar that Kurt Russell smashed. They forgot to put the fake one in there, so he just grabbed the genuine, authentic one that she played, which is an authentic, 1800s, guitar. So they were kind of pissed that Kurt Russell did that. They weren't happy about it, and her reaction on camera is genuine when she sees him grab that guitar, and she goes like, "Oh, that's genuine."
I was
That's
going
not
to ask
acting.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not acting. So yeah, that's the major trivia that I got. There's a few others, but Dan, Carlos, you guys got some trivia?
I actually don't have any trivia. Of course, I pick up on all the little homages, but it's not one I've actually can recite any trivia, unfortunately. I've watched so much about it, I'm just drawing a blank at the moment. Let's pass it over to you, Carlos.
I got some. We did forget to say this is a 2015 movie, so it's a 10-year anniversary episode.
Yes, I saw this in cinema 10 years ago. Yeah, this
The
was my
Hateful
first
Eight.
Tarantino in cinema. Yeah.
So I remembered it when Tarantino was going to make a Western again, and they were actually going to bill it as a Django Part 2.
Yeah, I think the original title was White Man in a Black Black Man in a White Hell or something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
but I think I don't know how true this was. I think there was some sort of leaked info in regards to the storyline of the movie.
the script got leaked. Yeah,
I heard that. And Tarantino kind of sort of said that maybe he thought the Django character might not have fitted in this kind of storyline. I heard that Viggo Mortensen was considered for a role. I don't know which part in the movie. Obviously, they re-edited this movie and they made it, 2019 on Netflix. They had it sort of chaptered up with 4 episodes, which is the version that I prefer to watch, with the roadshow version. And they made it kind of like an old Phil 60s movie with even the kind of timeout intermission. And it gives you
everything. Yeah,
it gives you that widescreen, great big cinematic experience. Hell knows why I never watched this on the big screen at the time. And I only watched it for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago. But the way they shot the movie, I think it was Southwest Colorado. I read up, which I was kind of wondering where they shot the movie because it looks stunning. It really, really did. That kind of first chapter, a lot of the stagecoach scenes. I actually thought a lot of it. I don't know whether the horses are actually galloping in the thick snow because you don't really see it close up. You see it from a distance, and I kept thinking, are they sort of doing it on wheels? But then Jeff mentioned that sort of slow motion scene where the horses are actually going through the snow.
Yeah.
But there's a few trivia sort of bits and pieces there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the other trivia that I can quickly mention is they use the Panavision, 70 or 75 millimeters. I forget which format exactly. Apparently, they're the same lenses that were used on like films like Ben-Hur and I think even Once Upon a Time in the West. I think I've heard. So it's definitely a great cinematic look. So yeah, as Carlos has mentioned, there's 2 versions. So let's go to the releases for this film. Now you can obviously get the regular cut on Blu-ray. Usually, I myself have the just a regular Dutch Blu-ray of the theatrical cut, and I do also have a bootleg, which because it's only on the US Netflix officially, but you can also get a bootleg copy of the extended version, as it says right there, the Netflix version, the 4-part episodic cut. So those are my releases for it. Dan, I see your release over there. It's a different one.
Yeah, mine's just the one I bought when it was released. Different artwork, theatrical cut. I do have the one Carlos sent as well, the full Netflix one. But yeah, not many features on there. But what I will say, you won't get a better looking Blu-ray than this. Looks incredible.
Mm. I do also have the theatrical one, and I did. This was my bootleg copy, and it does have the features. Quite a lot of features on this one. Yeah, I mean, I think the extended version always. If there's an extended version of a movie, you don't want to sort of go without and find out there's extra scenes to the movie, and it's a fair chunk. You're talking about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So yeah, there might be throwaway scenes, but I still want to see them. But they are the addition. Yeah, you'd think now with the 10-year anniversary, hopefully with a lot of the Tarantino movies getting released on 4K, with Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, that the Hateful Eight and possibly Django Unchained would look outstanding. But I mean, even the copies that I've got, I mean, I'm happy with those. I mean, even it's a bootleg copy, it looked beautiful. It really, really did.
So we're going to stay with you, Carlos, because you got some news about some physical media releases, and of course you also got the next episode, your choice. So we're going to stay with you. What have we got coming out in physical media land?
Yeah, as we're shooting this video during the Easter holidays, we do have Tombstone on 4K getting released in the UK and the US, as well as two Clint Eastwood westerns, The Outlaw Josie Wales and Pale Rider, which is getting released, I think, the following week after Tombstone. And we do have a slight delay on the Arrow Collector's Edition on 4K of A Fistful of Dollars, which I'm hearing is going to get released in May. So Western fans, we're going to get Western movies that are going to get the special treatment in the next couple of weeks for sure. And on to our next episode, which is going to be episode 20, which we're hoping to get a special guest. We are going to be talking about the 1985 star-studded cast Western, directed by Lawrence Kasdan. We're going to be talking about Silverado, made in 1985. That is going to be on episode 20, upcoming. Jeff, do you want to take us out?
Yes, but before I do want to remind you all we are also on different platforms, as you guys might know by this point. Of course, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we also want to announce that we also are Talking Movies live streams. They will also be coming to Spotify and all those platforms soon, so you can listen to those on the go. And yeah, with all that having been said, yeah, thank you all for watching this one, and yeah, Westerns for life. Adios, compañeros. Of course, here comes the 6-shooter. Stick 'em up.
Think so.
And Westerns for life. See you in the next one, episode 20, Silverado.
You missed.
They call him the hangman. When the handbill says dead or alive, the rest of us just shoot you in the back, come up on top of a perch somewhere and bring you in dead over a saddle. But when John Roof, the hangman, catches you, you hang.
Get in, boys! This here is Daisy Domergue. She's wanted dead or alive for murder. When that sun comes out, I'm taking this woman to hang. Is there anybody here committed to stopping me from doing that?
Well, well, well. Looks like Minnie's haberdashery is about to get cozy for the next few days.
Yes, it does.
One of them fellas is not what he says he is.
Move a little strange, you're gonna get a bullet. Not a warning, not a question.
a bullet.
Now we're talking.